If you're the Jacksonville Jaguars, your game plan is simple this week. Win. Just win. Win and you're in. You will win the AFC South title, and you get to host the Cleveland Browns here, which that would be a phenomenally fun matchup. I would say here. So
It's a
they're
horrible
getting
matchup
banged
for the
up.
Jaguars. I'm
I
sorry.
know that's tough. No, it's going to be tough because I think the biggest thing is they're getting injured at the wrong time of the season. It's never good
Yeah.
to get injured, but at the wrong time of the season. Trevor Lawrence's status is up in the air as well as just some other players as well. Don't know if Christian Kirk will be able to come back also after he pulled his groin, I believe, in week 14. So we're going to get into all that and break down the game here versus Tennessee Titans. But before we do that, if you haven't already, like, subscribe, and ring the bell to get notified whenever we create new content. We have a bunch more content coming out here in the off season, so it's going to be a lot of fun. So join us, join the Tracy Take community, and leave us a comment. Let us know who you think is going to win the game. Ryan, I think you hit the nail on the head here. Is Trevor Lawrence going to play or not? If he doesn't,
yeah, that's the
like
big one.
I mean, the Jags can still win with CJ Beathard, but even then, there's going to be more concerns than moving on from that than that he's going to play in the wild card round because you're definitely going to want him at minimum going up against the Cleveland Browns if you get that far. But they have to win this week in Week 18. Going up against the Titans team, who I will say also don't know if Will Levis is going to play. He hurt his ankle pretty good in the last matchup. Maybe they won't play him just because game doesn't mean anything. Maybe have a nice little final ride for Ryan Tannehill. A lot of questions that are going to be up in the air as we're recording this on Monday night here. What are your overall thoughts kind of on this game as a whole? What does Jacksonville have to do to secure that AFC South division title?
Well, so this is going to be kind of a weird answer because they're not going to be able to run the ball on on the Titans. Yeah. I almost said on the Jaguars, and I caught myself. But they're not going to be able to run the ball in Tennessee because this front seven is going to be too good. This offensive line's really banged up. And then I really think they're going to have to spread the ball around. Get Calvin Ridley. Zay Jones is questionable for this matchup. But then Evan Ingram, they need to get him involved as well. And just really kind of spread the ball out to all of their weapons. Get Travis Etienne involved and just spread it out and really put the secondary kind of in a blender. But at the same time, they also are going to have to limit this pass rush from Tennessee because this is, I mean, Mike Vrabel always has this team ready to go. And, yeah, spread the ball out. Make sure that everyone is covering the right assignment on the Tennessee Titans because chances are they're probably not. And that's like that to me is how they win this game. Trevor Lawrence has to be healthy, I think, for them to really be able to exploit them. But yeah, and then on the other side, this offensive line for Tennessee is not very good, and I really think they need to just shut down any sort of run game while getting after Ryan Tannehill. And if they can do that, I mean, these receivers aren't good enough there to really get key separation at crucial moments. And yeah, I don't really trust the Titans. Specifically their wide receivers to create plays. They just haven't shown the ability to really do it all year.
Outside of DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, outside of DeAndre Hopkins, but even then, getting him the ball has been difficult for these quarterbacks just because this offensive line has been so bad. Yes, I do trust DeAndre Hopkins to make plays. I don't necessarily trust the offense to be able to get him the ball properly.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, I'd throw that in there because I'm sure someone would comment and be like, "Oh, you don't like DeAndre Hopkins?" I'm like, "Oh, okay, all right, come on."
Yeah. Let's not be ridiculous.
I completely understand that, and I think that's like on paper, yeah. This Jags team is just significantly better than Tennessee, but they've just been decimated with injuries. All teams have to deal with injuries, but I mean, Trevor Lawrence has been dealing with, I think, like nearly every single
body ailments. I don't know at this point.
A whole body injury. Christian Kirk going down. I think Christian Kirk going down was the biggest one because he was kind of that. He was over reliable. I feel for Trevor Lawrence. He's just such a good route runner. He's not going to be super flashy, and like burn you with a great amount of speed, but he can create his own separation. He just always seemed to be open here, and I really opened up the playbook. I feel for Calvin Ridley to get his targets, Zay Jones get his targets, Evan Ingram, just because of how much attention Christian Kirk had to bring. And if you didn't focus on him, then Trevor Lawrence was going to hit him 10, 15 times a game.
Yeah.
And so him being out, I think is going to be huge here. And I saw, he went on IR in week 14. So I think he's still got one more week. Depends on if it was like IR going into week 15 or if it was the 14th week. I maybe am just struggling just on how to understand that. But with a groin injury and after having something like that, probably not to the severity of Christian Kirk, but it does take some time. So I would not be surprised if they maybe sit this one out here and make him be healthy for the wild card spot and just make sure that you get there. And so just they will love to have him back. And then when you go up against this Titans team, as you mentioned, outside of DeAndre Hopkins, receiving room for Tennessee is just not that great. I will say I think it's going to be kind of an emotional game in Nashville. It's definitely Ryan Tannehill's last ride, unless they want to bring him back as a backup. It's probably going to be Derrick Henry's last ride with Tennessee. He's probably going to go off in free agency as the Titans begin a rebuild. So it will be interesting to see kind of what variable and what this team brings, because I think they're going to leave everything out on the table to try and go out with the win.
Yeah, it's the last hurrah. I mean, there's not a good chance, but there is a chance that even Vrabel is gone next year. There's been a lot of reports, not that they're done with Vrabel, but that Vrabel is kind of done with the Titans organization, especially after the A.J. Brown trade, and then the firing of the general manager, and he might just be ready to go.
The firing of the general manager, I would think, would heal the men's a little bit.
Well, apparently they were friends. Like, so.
Oh, well, that's fair then. So I guess it depends on what the report is. I would think, because that was the GM's decision to trade A.J. Brown for that little. And it's going to go down as one of the worst trades ever. Not ever. It'll be up there. But
it was a really bad trade.
Yes.
There's been worse. So, but yeah, no, it definitely, I think it is. They've been trying to do a pseudo rebuild, I think, for the last couple years, right? Take Malik Willis in the third, then taking Will Levis in the second. And while I do think Will Levis has potential to be a franchise, I would say potential to be a franchise guy, he's just not quite there yet. And I really, really think they're going to have to just strip it down to the studs and start over. So let's go ahead and just get into our predictions here for this matchup. But before we do that, Tyler and I, we have a goal of getting to 3,000 subscribers by the end of the postseason. So if you could help us reach that goal, that would be very much appreciated. And Tyler, go ahead and tell people why you're taking the Jags in this matchup.
Yeah, once again, similar. We just did the Tampa Bay Carolina game, and I love to pick the upset here, but also if we're bet man and which I am, and not a smart guy, which I also am, but I had to try and be smart here. And just the smart pick is just going to be the Jags. Even with CJ Beathard, if he does start, I think overall, I think that they're just going to have the edge over Tennessee. That being said, though, Jags need to address the offensive line for sure in the offseason, and Tennessee defensive front is extremely good. Probably the best part of the Titans game as a whole, outside of DeAndre Hopkins, as you mentioned earlier. And so I still think the Jags are going to find a way to win here. And they do that, they win the division. And then also as well, that means the Browns would go into Jacksonville, and I really like the Browns going up against Jacksonville. Would love to see the Joe Flacco, Baltimore Ravens reunion, very similar to the Matt Stafford, Detroit Lions reunion. I also want to see. So, which also that's a foreshadowing for my AFC wildcard prediction if it's Browns versus Jags. So, Sorry, Jags fans. But, yeah, I'm going to go with the Jags here. I think they're going to make the playoffs. I also had them projected to go to the playoffs as well. I think actually a lot of people did. They didn't have it going down like this, but still with the opportunity in Week 18, I think they're going to pull this one out.
Yeah, I'm going with the Jags also. They're just the better team. Even if with a slightly unhealthy Trevor Lawrence and a banged-up wide receiving room, I still feel like they get the job done. Doug Peterson gets his team into the playoffs, and they have a feisty Browns team coming to town, most likely. So they'll need to be getting ready for that if they can pull this one out.
Yeah.
So
one game at a time. Definitely one game at a time. Got to make sure everybody's healthy as well. For both Week 18 and then the wild card game as well. But we'll just have to see.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and wrap this one up. We're both taking the Jaguars here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe and help Ty and I reach that goal of getting to 3,000 subscribers. And while you're down there, go ahead and leave a comment on who you think is going to come out ahead in this AFC South matchup. Will it be the Jacksonville Jaguars? Will it be the Tennessee Titans? Other than that, we'll see you guys next time.